One of the most interesting lizards, if not animals on the planet, is the chameleon. Some of them are so fantastically unique that if one were to describe a chameleon vocally, it would sound like some mystical made-up animal. Their eyes can move 360 degrees. Their tongues have a length comparable to that of their bodies, and they can change their skin tone to fit in with their surroundings. If you're lucky enough to acquire one of these fascinating creatures in your home, we have some great news. They make terrific pets. Pet chameleons are amazing lizards who have both beautiful coloration and very interesting behaviors. In this video, we'll tell you more about chameleons, their intriguing appearance, what the best species of chameleon are to keep as pets, and then go over how to care for one. Excited about chameleons and thinking about a scaly buddy? Before we get into the vibrant world of chameleons, take a sec to hit like, share your chameleon dreams in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and peek into the description for some awesome extras. Ready? Let's explore these incredible creatures together. Chameleon types. The slow-moving, overly colorful lizards known as chameleons reside in trees and are some of the world's most fascinating animals. Belonging to the Chameleonidae family, Earth gives home to more than 200 chameleon species. There's even a species subfamily known as Brooksinae, which includes pygmy chameleons. Each chameleon type is different, but all species share certain unique features that include mood control coloration changes to their bodies, prehensile tails, and peculiar techniques for hunting. As with any other type of animal with a load of species, certain species of chameleons make better pets than others. For instance, the veiled, flat-necked, or Jackson's chameleons are terrific choices for a beginner chameleon pet owner, while those looking to keep a small chameleon in a glass terrarium may choose to go with one of the pygmy types. More seasoned reptile pet owners looking for a more challenging animal might consider a four-horned or Mellers chameleon. Those looking for a particularly eye-catching variant, if money's no object, may consider the Panther chameleon, such as an or Ambilobe. The list of great pet chameleon choices. For those looking for a great pet, as well as an interesting animal to care for and observe, a chameleon may be exactly what you need. We studied over 200 species to dwindle down the list to the 17 that make the best pet types. Let's learn more about these chameleons. Panther chameleon. One of the most popular species of pet chameleon is the panther chameleon, or Furcifer pardalis, and the demand for them makes them quite expensive. Adults can cost around $300, but the particularly vivid colored ones could run as much as $500. They're popular because they are tolerant of handling and are easy to care for. Beyond that, they exude gorgeous, vivid, yet variable color patterns, leading them to be considered among the most colorful species of chameleons in existence. They can be any color from green to yellow to blue and any shade that falls on the color spectrum in between. They also have a long stripe along the side. While both genders are large, the males are generally larger than females and can be clearly distinguished via the ridges that line the sides of their heads. These lizards are great for first-time reptile owners as they're tolerant to being handled and interacting with humans, require far less intensive care than many other species variants, and have a set of very basic needs. Veiled chameleons. Another popular pet chameleon species with beginners is the veiled chameleon, or Cameleo caloptraptus. They are widely available in pet stores and can be acquired for as little as $50. What makes them beginner-friendly is that they are perhaps the easiest chameleon species to care for, only requiring that basic husbandry needs are met for them to thrive. Unlike some other chameleons, however, being handled isn't their favorite activity. These chameleons are native to the regions of Saudi Arabia and Yemen, which is a reason why they also go by the title of Yemen chameleons. Their traditional namesake is due to a big casque atop their heads, which resembles a veil, with females having a smaller one than the males of the species. While not as vivid and variable in coloration, the veiled species is still very pleasing to the eyes, with a general green base color, and usually adorned with pale blue, yellow, or brown vertical stripes. Jackson's chameleons. The small species named the Jackson chameleon, or Dwarf Jacksoni, hails from eastern Africa, namely parts of Tanzania and Kenya. The three horns on the head of a male in the species also earn them the name of three-horned chameleons. Their horns are part of their appeal and popularity, along with their smaller size. Many pet stores have Jackson's chameleons available for less than $100. The coloring of Jacksons is a bit basic by comparison to some other chameleon breeds, since they are mostly of a solid green shade with darker green or brown markings, rather than a mix of an array of hues. In terms of care, while they're still good beginner pets, they do require more care than other chameleon species. Dwarf Jackson's chameleons. The Jackson's three-horned chameleon has a subspecies, although it is rare. They are called Dwarf Jacksons, or Dwarf Jacksoni baramumatos, inheriting their Latin species name from Tanzania's Mount Meru, the only place where they can be found in the world. As is implied by their name, they are a smaller version of Jackson's chameleon. They have some yellow on their heads, but their bodies are overall of a blue-green coloration. Like their larger counterparts, the males have 3 large horns on their heads, while the females only have 1. To protect their native wildlife, Tanzania put strict export regulations in place in 2016, making this a very rare species to find for purchase in the U.S. Ambilobe Panther Chameleon. The panther chameleon has a number of subspecies, one of which is the ambilobe, or Furcifer pardalis ssp. This is the most popular of all panther species to keep as pets, often considered the most stunning in coloration. Their ease of handling and simplicity of care make them even more attractive to beginner pet owners. Their coloration is very bright, combining vivid fusions of yellow, blue, green, white, and orange. They are very comfortable with being handled and docile, and while their enclosures are being maintained, they even crawl onto their keeper's hands. The attractive nature of the ambilobe comes at a cost, however, with adults costing around $300, but potentially more depending on their coloration variants and size. Four-horned chameleons. Another relative of Jackson's chameleon, sharing many similar characteristics, is the four-horned chameleon, or Trioceros quadricornis. They have similar coloration, being an overall greenish yellow, as well as light markings that can be as dark as purple or as light as blue. The four-horned species are slightly longer than their counterparts. The clearest distinction is the fact that they have 4 horns on their head rather than 3, but theirs are smaller in size. They also hail from a different region of Africa, found in Cameroon's mountainous rainforests. The environment there is cooler, normally not exceeding 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's also an environment with very high moisture levels. Due to their species' acclimation to those factors, these chameleons are very sensitive to low humidity and high temperatures, so they require an experienced handler to be kept as pets, as it's not easy to accomplish successfully. Parson's chameleons. Growing to sizes that can reach 70 centimeters, the Parson's chameleon, or Caluma parsoni, are definitely the largest chameleon species known to man. Their size requires them to have a large enclosure, which can be difficult for certain owners to accommodate. In other ways, however, caring for the Parson's chameleon is quite similar to the care required by other chameleon species. There's not much that distinguishes this breed aside from its size. They do exude amazing colorations with variable hues and patterns that involve combinations of green, yellow, blue, brown, and white. Dark, sizable diagonal stripes line their sides, with some individual chameleons being almost entirely white with green stripes. While their colors make them popular and appealing to reptile-loving pet owners, their price might be prohibitive, with most of Parson's chameleons costing more than $1,000. It isn't due to just their coloring either. The majority of eggs hatched by this species take about 18 months to hatch, which makes their breeding quite challenging. Cuban false chameleon. Many would regard the Cuban false, or Anolis barbatus, as a chameleon species, but it's really an anole species from the Dactylidae family. But their characteristics do make them similar to chameleons, including the ability to move their eyes around independently of each other, as well as a casque on their heads. They're also nowhere near as colorful as chameleons, typically just existing in a grayish tan color. They do make interesting pets, however, and are lizards that are quite less expensive than many of the other members on this list. Pygmy chameleon. The pygmy chameleons vary among several different species, but are collectively sometimes referred to as African leaf chameleons. But these guys are quite different than this list's other chameleons. For one, they don't grow to a size that exceeds 3 inches. Unlike most chameleons that have prehensile tails that help them climb trees, pygmies live in leaf litter. Therefore, it was not evolutionarily necessary for them to have long tails. They make very cute pets, and most of them can be acquired for less than $200. They make a fine pet choice for someone looking for a unique but not large lizard species to house as a pet in their home. Bearded pygmy. One of the many pygmy chameleon species is the bearded pygmy, or Reptilian brevicaudatus, who, like most members of their Rhampholion family, doesn't live in trees. They are plainer than many other chameleons, only doing nominal color changing, generally staying at a muted tan or brown coloration. Living amongst leaves, however, that color is perfect for blending with their surroundings. When viewed from the side, the bearded pygmy has a similar color and shape as that of a small leaf. Usara pitted pygmy. Another small pygmy chameleon species is the Usara pygmy chameleon, or Rhampholion temporalis. They share many of the same characteristics as species in their genus, and their coloration is generally brown, tan, or gray. They're lined with patterns that make them resemble a dead leaf. Many also have diagonal stripes lining their bodies. Their lips are flattened, resembling the beak of a bird, and, along with their long tails, distinguish them from other pygmies. While they're cheaper than many other chameleon species, acquirable for around $50, they require very specific humidity requirements. So, for proper care, they require an experienced reptile keeper. Carpet chameleons. An interesting type of panther chameleon found only on the island of Madagascar off the coast of eastern Africa is the brightly colored carpet chameleon, or Furcifer lateralis. They are versatile in terms of habitat and able to exist in high altitudes, deserts, and rainforests alike. While they're larger than the aforementioned pygmies, they're not as big as other chameleon species, but their subdued size is more than compensated for in their coloration. The carpet chameleons have dark patterns along any combination of green, red, blue, orange, yellow, or purple-colored bodies, along with spots on their sides. While they're not as expensive as some other chameleon breeds, they could still run nearly $200. Ambanya panther chameleon. Another popular breed of panther chameleon is the Ambanya, or Furcifer pardalis ssp. Like most other panther chameleons, the Ambanya is large and has a long prehensile tail to help it navigate in the trees. This species is hard to mistake for another, as they're a bright electric blue in color, though some have greens, reds, and purple mixed in. It's the blue colors that make them extremely popular chameleon pets. Their care isn't overly difficult, comparable to most other chameleon species, but due to their strict requirements of high humidity, as well as their hefty price tag, they're not the species recommended for beginners. Mellers chameleons. The Mellers chameleon, or Trioceros melleri, is another large lizard found in the eastern African regions of Tanzania, Malawi, and Mozambique. Outside of those found in Madagascar, these are the biggest chameleons in the world, growing to as long as 2 feet. They're large enough to hunt not only insects in the wild, but also birds. Their large size, as well as the single small horn on top of their snout, unlike the more traditional triad, also lend them the name of the giant one-horned chameleon. Their bodies are lined with yellow and green vertical bars. As far as care, this lizard needs expert levels of it. They are very sensitive to stress and respond poorly to subpar husbandry, so they're not a great breed for beginners to start with as their pets. Senegal chameleon. Another popular chameleon breed due to its small size, even at an adult age, and its shy temperament, is the Senegal chameleon, or Chameleon senegalensis. While they're larger than the pygmies, they're not as big as the Panther chameleons. They have a very attractive look, though their colors vary based on their surroundings and their emotional state. Most are seen as soft but solid green, often with darker spots. While generally docile, they can be unnerved when handled, so their tolerance of being held is relatively low. Experienced keepers can, however, allow the Senegal chameleon to thrive as a pet, especially if they aren't interested in handling them. They also require high humidity to survive and stay healthy, so new keepers would have a tough time accommodating the proper setup. Fisher's chameleons. Found in the Ingu mountain regions of Tanzania, the Fisher's chameleons, or Kinyongia fisher SSP, are quite a unique chameleon species. Their exceptional long tails have some calling them monkey-tailed chameleons, and their two long horns have others referring to them as the Western Usara two-horned chameleon. Their coloration is generally a variety of green hues that can be as vivid as lime green, but also as dark as a greenish-brown. Flap-necked chameleons. The final chameleon on our list is a species popular with beginners, and it's the South African flap-necked chameleon. They're easy to house since they are tolerant of most humidity levels, making them easy for beginners to host. They're also not extremely large, so if a keeper does their research, these chameleons can be a particularly enjoyable breed to keep in the home. Their look is typical of most common chameleons, save the slaps on their neck which make them stand out. They have long tails, a small casque on top, and range in a variety of green coloring. Some even have a pattern that's either orange or brown. So, which of these chameleon species appeal most to your taste in reptiles and align most closely with your experience level? We hope that this was an informative piece that allows you to pick a subspecies of chameleon that stands out to you the most as a potential future pet.